All right, YouTube actually decided to work this time. That's fantastic. All right, while I'm setting everything up, I'm going to let the House of Commons play, and then I've got a couple things to get into from over the weekend, so on and so forth. But let me set everything up. Let's see what's going on here. Big week this week.
And comments. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Back in April, Canada elected
Kevin.
a new Prime Minister, and that new Prime Minister made a commitment to Canadians that we would bring forward substantial bail legislation. Bill C-14 has 80, that's 80 targeted clauses to make substantial changes, Madam Speaker. The consultation included police forces or law enforcement agencies, provinces, municipalities, victims of crimes, extensive consultations. My question to the member is, recognizing that our new Prime Minister has brought forward substantial bail legislation, if the Conservatives are prepared to see the legislation move forward, we could actually have this in law before the end of the year. Does the member agree with me and the constituents in which I represent that to get that bail reform legislation is of critical importance and we should achieve to get it done before the end of the year?
The Honourable Member for Port Judge Lisgar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The easy question to ask is, what took so long? The system has been broken for years. Yes, there is a so-called new Prime Minister. Now, that member was part of the old government that broke the system, and I can assure you, when I talk to victims and frontline police officers, there has not been consultations for the last 10 years. They have been ignored. This has been some academic exercise trying to figure out the best way to stop crime, and it has failed. The soft on crime, revolving door, liberal justice system is an admonishment of the approach that they have taken. It is a complete failure. It is time that we listen to victims, that we listen to frontline police officers, and put criminals behind bars where they belong.
Questions et commentaires.
Well said.
Questions and comments. The Honourable Member for Abitibi-Témiscamingue. We've been friends for so long, Madam Speaker. Thank you. I'd like to thank my colleague for his speech. And I'd like to hear him talk more about what the impact that this has. Well, for example, with Donald Trump, there are things, well, we've had we gave the impression that we'd go quickly. Now we're saying they're taking too long. Should we fold to their desires? Because that's what Liberals are telling us. We're going to solve everything really quickly to please the U.S. So what are the consequences, in his opinion?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you for the question. Yes, it is important to highlight the insane number of promises that this so-called new Prime Minister of this lengthy 10-year Liberal administration has made, how few he has kept and how few he possibly could keep. This issue, the member mentioned my community. When Kelly died, it shook our community, right? My hometown is 13,000 people. Everybody within hours knew. And then they heard what actually happened. They were sad. They were heartbroken when Kelly died because she was such an important pillar of our community. But then that sadness turned into sheer disgust, knowing that her death was entirely preventable. If the Liberals had taken the bail system seriously over the last 9 months, or more importantly over the last 10 years, as we've seen a steady increase in crime rates across this country, she might still be with us. It did not need to happen, and it is so disappointing to have so many Liberal MPs stand up here and forget that they defended the status quo that has caused so many tragedies to families like Kelly's and others right across this country.
Questions et commentaires.
Questions and comments.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
Thanks, Madam Speaker. The Liberals are trying to pass their so-called Bail and Sentencing Reform Act today. However, as Canadians may recall, Conservatives have tabled our Jail Not Bail Act just weeks ago, a piece of legislation that we thoughtfully and carefully drafted in consultation with police departments, victims groups, and police associations to close all the Liberal loopholes. Now, we worked all summer and did the homework for the Liberals, and what happened? The Liberals swiftly voted it down. The Liberals chose to keep repeat offenders on our streets and give house arrest to fentanyl traffickers, to gun crime, and sexual offenses. The Liberals are now tabling Bill C-14, which doesn't even meet us halfway there. So why do you think the Liberals are pretending to fix a problem that they themselves have caused?
Remind the honourable member that I don't think anything while I'm in the chair. The honourable member for Portage Lisgar in 10 seconds.
I suppose it's par for the course. They break it, they promise they can fix it, they fail. It's a vicious cycle. Bill C-242 is the solution. They've stolen enough conservative ideas in the last election. Take this one, run with it, and make this country a safer place.
Resuming debate, the honourable member for Cowichan, Malahat Langford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's my honour to rise, as always, in the House on behalf of the great people of Cowichan, Malahat Langford on Vancouver Island. I'd like to take a minute to recognize Peyton Hammond, a 17-year-old who just won the World Dart Federation World Open Cup Youth Championship. Congratulations, well done. He's certainly a star rising. Today I'd like to speak specifically about violent repeat offenders. But let's be clear, the Liberal soft on crime, C-75, has allowed our towns and our cities, our small towns, to become havens for violent repeat offenders. And frankly, C-14 is not much better. Let me take you to Vancouver Island, Duncan, a small town around 7,000 population. Lewis Street is the epicenter of violent repeat offenders, of drug crimes, of drug overdoses. There's an overdose prevention site, people camping everywhere, struggling and suffering on the streets. And seriously, it's one block from two schools, an elementary and a middle school, one block away. I've been there many times. I've witnessed the drug dealing, people overdosing, fighting, camping on the street, out of control. The park is a public toilet. There's no toilets, it's just the park. People living on balconies and the residents there are witnessing this every day. Stickman takes sticks every day, goes down the street, smashes cars, gets arrested, and is released the next day and does it again. I've seen him. The residents there have told me they've seen him doing it again and again. They witness from their balconies in their front yards or behind their windows. They know the criminals. They see it again and again and again. Public sexual acts, public indecency. And I am, and we are all sympathetic for those suffering from homelessness and drug addiction. And they too are victims of violent repeat offenders. These are people that are somebody's son or daughter or their brother or sister or their family. They too suffer. The seniors there are afraid to go out at night. They know who the violent repeat offenders are. They know who's going to attack them day and night. Some of them are 90 years old. They're struggling to get even property insurance because of where they live, because of the crime and the violent repeat offender crime that's going on. I'd like to speak of Hank at Hank's Handy Mart, just nearby. A senior, a store owner, he's working in his store. He's beaten to death. He's beaten nearly to death, put into hospital for several weeks. And yet, the next day, as his sons are covering the shift to keep the family business open, to keep the family business alive that's helping the community, they watch the accused walk past the store the next day, out on bail. The crime severity index there overall is 339 and violent at 324, among the worst in British Columbia. The violent crime rate is 153% above the national average, and that's not just Duncan. It's small towns and communities and big towns and communities across Canada. People are suffering from C-75 and the culture of violent repeat offenders and the catch and release. C-75 has failed Canada, and it's failed Duncan. So, is C-14 any better? Johnny was my daughter's boyfriend, and he was murdered in downtown Victoria not 3 years ago, brutally stabbed to death. He was gutted with a hunting knife by a violent repeat offender who was out on bail, been charged multiple times. In fact, some of them were not 2 weeks earlier. They were violent crimes, attempted murder, attacking a police dog. He should not have been out on bail, and he was. That's a C-75 failure, so will C-14 solve it? Indeed, I asked the party opposite, the member from Etobicoke Lakeshore, last week, if C-14 would solve issues like this of the violent repeat offenders and would have saved Johnny. And he said the problem was with the judges. He questioned their training, how busy they were that day, their experience. He wanted to know their qualifications. He was pointing fingers and blaming our legal system for C-75's failures, and I think that was shameful. He then, of course, went on to challenge members who disagreed with him to take it outside. But most importantly, he was unable to answer, and he did not answer, if C-14 would have saved somebody like Johnny's life or so many people across Canada that have been affected and their lives have been shattered by violent repeat offenders, that has spiked in the last 10 years. C-14 fails to impose automatic detention for those already on bail. That would have prevented Johnny's murder and so many other crimes. It leaves the principles of restraint in place, the very policy that forces the judges to release Johnny's murderer. Release at the earliest opportunity under the least onerous conditions. So these are some of the examples specific to violent repeat offenders where C-14 fails to address this, fails to keep violent repeat offenders behind bars. It falls short. Principle of restraint remains, least onerous language persists. It keeps the culture of release there. House arrest limits don't go far enough for robbery, gun crimes, and trafficking. The solution is clearly to bring this bill to committee with some hard work to fix C-14. Sure, it copies some conservative ideas, but not all of them, and it certainly doesn't go far enough, as I've outlined specifically to the violent repeat offender problem. We need to keep these people where they belong, behind bars. What we have now isn't working. Duncan knows it, Vancouver Island know it, towns across Canada know it, and victims know it. Law enforcement knows it. Sure, C-14 is a start. And it also acknowledges that C-75 was a failure. There's lots of work needed to make some improvements, some serious improvements for C-14. So we support getting it to committee, to get it fixed, to deliver good laws for Canadians. Key elements, for example, principles of restraint, house arrest limits, restoring mandatory minimums. It needs to be responsive to the needs and the requirements and the advice of law enforcement officials, and indeed all Canadians. The solution is clearly to work together, as a minority government should, not a, you need to vote for our bill as it is or you're the bad guy. We need to be collaborative and work together for the betterment of Canadians to keep people safe. C-14, it needs lots of work. It needs fixing. It needs improvement. Conservatives are ready to work together to keep Canadians safe. And I'm wondering, are the Liberals ready to work together? Thank you.
And that's a really, really good point. The current minority government, which is obviously the Liberal Party, they are supposed to work with the opposition. Now, I don't know if they have gone out of their way to create a coalition behind closed doors with the NDP, the Bloc. I obviously know the Conservatives probably aren't going to vote on this budget. Tomorrow's going to be a wild day. I believe the budget is supposed to be tabled at roughly 4 p.m. tomorrow, 4 p.m., sometime after question period. From what I'm hearing, there might be a vote today as well for this Bail and Sentencing Reform Act. Not entirely sure on that, but they were discussing, I guess, voting on that, so I guess we'll see. Liberals work with everyone. Yeah, the Liberals, if you send them enough money, or if they send you enough money, then the NDP will hop right on board. The NDP will have no problem pushing a Liberal budget. And I feel like it's the exact same with the Bloc, but I feel like the Bloc might have a little bit of a a little bit, I don't know. I don't want to say anything because if they end up voting for him, then it's like, well, there you go. But I feel like they might be a little bit stronger in terms of not voting for the budget. They might have a little more of a spine when it comes to that. But once again, who knows?
Those ideas. Now, remember for Couch and Malahat Langford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. And while I spoke specifically to violent repeat offenders and how it applies in C14, I certainly agree that organized crime also needs to be addressed in the issue, and so that falls under my description of the bill needs more work. That certainly would be part of it, cracking down on organized crime. Thank you.
Questions and comments? The honourable member. I'm sorry, for Niagara South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate my colleague from British Columbia and his comments on this legislation. And as members know, I have stood in this place many times over the last couple of months to talk about the brutal sexual assault and rape of a little girl in my riding of Niagara South, Little E. Everyone is keenly aware of this case. And she was assaulted by a repeat offender, somebody who had just been released, had served a year and a half sentence. And he attacked this little girl within weeks of his release. And I'm wondering if my colleagues' comments on how this legislation might have dealt with the release of this offender, whether it would have happened under this legislation, and what improvements he believes needs to happen so people like Daniel Senecal have a sentence that's commensurate with the crime.
The honourable member for Couch and Malahat Langford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank my colleague from Niagara South for the question. And while I don't really know how to answer that one, it's an absolutely heartbreaking story. And what I can say is that we need Bill C-14 to be worked on so that cases like that simply just can't happen. It happens too often, and that one example is too much. And yet we know there are so many examples. So as Conservatives, our goal is to work together in committee to fix this bill so that Canadians are protected, Canadians like the story that you gave us, so that violent repeat offenders are going to stay behind bars. We've made suggestions already on how to fix it with our Jail Not Bail Act. Now is the time to work together, come up with a positive solution. Thank you.
Honourable member for Winnipeg West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. An article from last week in the Winnipeg Free Press had described how Manitoba has been underfunding their Crown attorneys, and this has been happening in other provinces as well. We all know that in order to be denied bail, you need a bail hearing, and there are not enough Crown attorneys for timely bail hearings. That under law, then, they have to be released. Would you not agree that there is some responsibility of the provincial governments in making sure that this is properly administered?
The honourable member, just a reminder, I can't agree or disagree with anything, but I ask the honourable member for Couch and Langford to enter. Malahat Langford to answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'm certainly not asking you to agree with or disagree with anything, but I appreciate the guidance for this House in general. I'm not familiar with the member from Winnipeg West. He mentioned the article in the Free Press. So, yes, there are challenges with the provincial at the provincial level, but we need to set the guidance in C-14 to make the conditions correct so that the provinces can deal with it. And yeah, the Liberals have had 10 years to work on and fix this. They haven't done that. And at all levels, we need to make Canadians be able to feel safe on the streets so they can enjoy a safe life. Thank you very much.
Resuming debate, the honourable member for Ponoka-Didsbury.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ponoka-Didsbury. It's great riding in rural central Alberta, almost as close to the north end of Calgary as it is to the south end of Edmonton, and some of the finest, hardworking, noble people that you'd ever find. Honest, law-abiding citizens, lots of farmers, lots of businesses, and just all around good people. And it's a pleasure for me to rise on their behalf today to give a speech that I'm going to entitle, "We Told You So." Madam Speaker, I'm rising to talk about Bill C-14, which is a bill that's introduced by this Liberal government to fix a problem that they essentially themselves created. When our Conservative government left power in 2015, Canada had the lowest total crime rate since 1969. And that was simply not a coincidence. Madam Speaker, Conservatives understand that the justice system is not a toy for the use of social engineering. It is in fact an important tool for restraining the liberties of those who threaten public safety, especially when they are likely to reoffend. In other words, Madam Speaker, Conservatives believe public safety to be the paramount consideration in whether or not somebody's civil liberties should be restrained. Victims of crime deserve a voice, and that the actions of criminals should have real-world consequences. Unfortunately, the last 10 years of Liberal rule has seen all of the progress made under the Harper administration completely erased. During these years, this current Liberal government and the ones before it waged an ideological crusade against those who uphold Canada's laws. Of their soft-on-crime bills, none are more egregious than Bills C-5 and C-75. Bill C-75 eased bail provisions and legislated the principle of restraint for police and courts, ensuring that criminals would be released at the earliest opportunity under the least onerous conditions. And this is essentially the open door to the catch and release system we see today. Madam Speaker, I'm a conservationist at heart, and I'm an angler. And I know that catch and release can sometimes be a good thing. But when it comes to justice, catch and release is poor public policy, and it comes at enormous costs to certain Canadians. Bill C-5, for its part, removed the mandatory minimums on 14 different criminal code offenses. Even some minimum penalties or minimum sentences that were put in place by none other than Pierre Elliott Trudeau. These were common sense penalties on dangerous offenses and included using a firearm or an imitation firearm in the commission of an offense, possession of a firearm or weapon knowing that its possession is unauthorized. So that means somebody out there that, we all know, Madam Speaker, that criminals don't get gun licenses and criminals don't register their guns. So why on earth we would take away minimum penalties for people who knowingly do that? Possession of a prohibited or restricted firearm with ammunition. I don't know why you wouldn't go to jail for that. That's something that every law-abiding gun owner knows, that they would not have to suffer those consequences because they follow the rules, but criminals, they don't follow the rules. Possession of a weapon obtained by the commission of an offense. So if you steal somebody's guns, you don't get to go to jail. As a matter of fact, you'd probably get in more trouble having your guns stolen from you than the person who actually stole them in the first place.
That's probably true.
Honourable Member, can we see the noise in the corridors, please? It is very disturbing. Thank you. Honourable Member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's very important what I'm saying. If they'd have just listened all these 10 years, we wouldn't be in the problems right now, but it's clear they don't like to listen. Weapons trafficking, excluding firearms and some ammunition. Well, you don't have to go to jail if you're a weapons trafficker. Possession for the purpose of weapons trafficking. So if you're a smuggler or you're the person that's carrying them across the border or selling them, importing or exporting firearms or ammunition without a permit, all of these related to organized crime and the smuggle trade. Madam Speaker, these are things for which Liberals erased minimum sentences. Discharging a firearm with intent or discharging a firearm recklessly. This is the problem, Madam Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we just had a change in speakers. So, Mr. Speaker, if you're discharging a firearm recklessly, you should be going to jail. If you discharge a firearm with intent to hurt somebody, all hunters know this, all farmers know this. We're very careful. Gun control means muzzle control, Mr. Speaker, to a law-abiding gun owner, but not to a criminal. But of course, if you're a Liberal, why would you let common sense get in the way of ideological agendas? And of course, you would remove that provision. Robbery with a firearm. That's got to be a lot of fun for the victim, hey? But if you're getting robbed by somebody at gunpoint, under the previous or current Liberal laws of this country, you don't have to fear going to jail. As a matter of fact, you're probably going to be able to serve your sentence from your couch. Extortion with a firearm. Did you know, Mr. Speaker, that extortion is up over 350% in Canada? In some communities, it's up over 500%. It wasn't like that until Bill C-5 was passed. Yes, the bill even permitted conditional sentences allowing house arrest for serious offenses such as sexual assault. Imagine, Mr. Speaker, sexually assaulting someone and being able to serve your sentence from the comfort of your own home. And the overwhelming result, Mr. Speaker, and everybody agrees, as a matter of fact, this is one of the most divisive governments in Canada's history over the last 10 years. But somehow, the one thing they were able to do to unite all 13 premiers was their approach on crime, and 13 premiers of every province and of every territory wrote the Prime Minister in 2023 saying, you've got it completely wrong. That's the most unifying thing that the Liberals have actually done, is they've galvanized the whole country to say, you've had it wrong. Since 2015, there's been a staggering increase of lawlessness across Canada. Violent crime up 55%, firearms crime up over 130%. And this is crimes with illegal guns, Mr. Speaker. This isn't hunters like me or sport shooters. This is criminals who get their guns illegally. Extortion over 330%, sexual assaults up 76%, homicides up 29%. It's no wonder that a recent Leger poll shows that over half of Canadians no longer feel safe in their own home. And I'd like to know, Mr. Speaker, will this government apologize to all of the victims of crime and all of the abuse, all of the murders, all of the people who are suffering as a result of decisions that MPs over here have made?
The honourable member for Ponoka
Cheers to that.
Didsbury will have 2 minutes and 18 seconds left in his speech after we resume orders of the day. Statements by members. Déclaration de député. The honourable member for Burlington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to share the story of my constituent, Carrie Ann Hall, who suffered a tragic loss. Her daughter, Catherine Ellen Pryla, was just 28 years old and 8 months pregnant when she died suddenly from an aortic dissection. Her baby boy, Callum James, did not survive. Only after Catherine's passing did genetic testing confirm she had Marfan syndrome, a connective tissue disorder. From the age of 3, she was under specialist care for scoliosis, eye complications, and other related issues, yet each was treated in isolation. No one recognized the larger pattern that could have pointed to Marfan sooner. Catherine's story reminds us of the importance of seeing the whole picture, of ensuring that our healthcare systems and professionals and researchers have the awareness and tools they need to identify rare genetic conditions early. Greater collaboration, education, and research can save lives. We owe it to families like Carrie Ann's to raise national awareness of genetic aortic disorders and to make sure no one else is lost because the signs were missed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Simcoe Grey.
Mr. Speaker, residents of Simcoe Grey are proud to be home of Canadian Forces Base Borden. They are also proud farmers. So when D&D revealed that it secretly bought over 700 acres of prime farmland to build a radar site, residents were shocked. Now they're concerned. After D&D started contacting residents directly, asking them to sell their land because it needs thousands more acres. They won't sell. They've been on this land for generations. Will the government expropriate their land? Affected residents Terry Jackman and Rachel Brooks took the lead and started a petition. Others have rallied behind them. We talk every day in this place about high prices and food security in Canada. This government says it is taking action. That action shouldn't be turning 4,000 acres of Canada's best farmland into a radar site. That's right. Residents support investments in Canada's national security, but they call on the minister to select a radar site which doesn't sacrifice food security in the process. Thank you.
The honourable member for Avalon.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to celebrate women's sport in Canada as we welcome the 2025 Under-18 Women's National Hockey Championship to my riding in Avalon. From November 2nd to November 8th, my hometown of Conception Bay South is proud to host these outstanding young athletes. This event is not only a celebration of athletic excellence, but a source of pride for the community, and the first time our province has hosted this prestigious event. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate these athletes on their dedication, skill, and commitment. Their commitment are paving the way for future generations of girls who dream of lacing up their skates and representing their province and their country. I ask all my colleagues to join me in cheering on these incredible athletes and celebrating the strength of women's sports in Canada.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-Les-Échemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, over the past few weeks, Quebec has been immersed in municipal elections. Yesterday, voters made their choice. This choice means that many people have offered to give their time to public service. I congratulate all candidates who had the courage and generosity to participate in the process. Many were not elected, but they have won something. They've won the people's gratitude. As for the winners, important work awaits them. I would like to highlight the remarkable work of the municipal councillors of Bellechasse-Les-Échemins-Lévis during their last term. To those whose time in office is coming to an end, I express my sincere thanks for their deep commitment to their communities. Through their sense of duty, they contributed to the strength and prosperity of our municipalities. I congratulate all newly elected officials and I wish them all the best. I promise them my full cooperation and readiness to work together in the service of the people of Bellechasse-Les-Échemins-Lévis. Congratulations, and I wish you a successful term in office. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Argenteuil-La Petite Nation. Mr. Speaker, with Remembrance Day around the corner, it is essential to highlight the invaluable role our Canadian Legions play in supporting our veterans. Across the country, Legion members look out for those who have served our country with courage and commitment. In my riding of Argenteuil-La Petite Nation, we have legions in La Chute, Brownsburg-Chatham, Chénéville, Buckingham, and Arundel, which serves the Harrington area. And these are pillars of solidarity and remembrance. Through their commitment, community activities, and annual Poppy campaign, the legions remind us all that remembrance will never fade. I would like to thank the dedicated volunteers who, day after day, support veterans, the most vulnerable veterans too, and they keep the flame of remembrance alive, lest we forget.
The Honourable Member for Mission Matsqui Abbotsford.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today with a heavy heart to speak about Abbotsford, where last week we saw 3 shootings in 3 days. It is devastating to see another member of our community killed, Mr. Darshan Saucy. I want to thank the Abbotsford Police Department and our first responders for their quick action, but this should not have to be the norm. The pressures they face to protect our crime-ridden communities are evident. In September, the Abbotsford Police launched a dedicated task force to combat a troubling rise in extortion, with 38 reports since 2023. And it's not just Abbotsford. Across Canada, violent crime is up nearly 50%, homicides nearly 28%, and extortion 357%. The Bail and Sentencing Reform Act before Parliament must take these devastating numbers seriously. Public safety should not be a partisan issue. I hear everyone who has reached out to me and know that the Conservative Party is fighting for the change that you want to see in your community.
The Honourable Member for Mississauga, Erin Mills.
Mr. Speaker, young people matter. They just aren't our future.
I'll be right back.
They are our now. Canada, I represented Canada at the Inter-Parliamentary Union's 151st Assembly in Geneva, and the one thing that I learned was that we need to meet young people where they're at. We need to include them in solving challenges of our time, whether it's climate change, or it is humanitarian crisis, including Gaza, or it's artificial intelligence. Their voices matter, and their innovation is going to help us in really solving these challenges. So I really want to challenge all of us in this House to ensure that we are including young people in our politics, in our ridings, to ensure that they are included and they are at the forefront of what we need to do to solve our world's problems. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Here, here.
The honourable member for Northumberland Clark.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have been in power for a decade, and Canadians, well, we're feeling the results. They are struggling with a high cost of living, including rising food prices, skyrocketing housing costs, and paychecks that just don't go far enough. This is a simple concept, Mr. Speaker. The more these Liberals spend, the more things cost. Reckless Liberal spending and increasing tax increases is making life harder for Canadians. It's time to reverse course. Conservatives have a plan for the budget. We've got great demands. We're asking to get rid of the hidden taxes on Canadian food. We want to cut taxes on work, home building, investments, and energy. Keep that deficit under $42 billion. Canadians are sick of Liberal buzzwords. We're sick and tired of the lectures. We're ready for results. Our budget demands are simple, reasonable, and effective. They will help restore the promise of Canada.
Just build a bloody pipeline. Build the Keystone XL, make that priority number 1, remove the tanker ban, make that priority number 2, and just by doing those, we're already steps ahead. Like, way, way better off. Very simple things. Maybe not the Keystone XL. I shouldn't say that's simple because it would go through numerous provinces and that's a big project. But the tanker ban is something that is simple. You just get rid of it. Like, just remove it. If the US is allowed to do it, why the hell are we restricting ourselves? I know this is what the Conservatives have been fighting for, and they say it over and over again, but my God, just by doing those two things, we would be light years ahead.
Election in over 20 years. Congratulations to all, and long live democracy.
For Dartmouth, Cole Harbour.
Mr. Speaker, last week in Nova Scotia, NHL star Brad Marchand showed us what real friendship and real heart look like. In the middle of his NHL season, Brad came home to stand behind the bench for his lifelong friend, J.P. McCollum, head coach of Dartmouth's U18 major hockey team, who's facing every parent's worst heartbreak, the loss of his 10-year-old daughter, Seela, after a courageous battle with cancer. More than 1,000 people filled the Halifax Forum to lift that family up. There were bake sales, jersey auctions, and a whole community coming together, showing the kind of love and support that defines Nova Scotia and Nova Scotians. Mr. Speaker, I want to send all the love in the world to JP, his loved ones, the team, and I want to thank Brad Marchand for reminding us that true greatness isn't measured just in goals, but in heart. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Brandon Souris.
The Prime Minister said Canadians should judge him by what they pay at the grocery store. Well, Food Banks Canada did just that and gave him a D on poverty and food insecurity after both rose nearly 40%. Not an inspiring achievement. Food inflation remains 70% above the Bank of Canada's target. Potatoes are up 16%, beef up 33%, grapes up 24%, apples up 14%. These aren't luxuries. They're the staples every Canadian family relies on. 25% of Canadian families are struggling to afford food, and food bank visits have doubled since 2023. But it doesn't have to be this way. This week, Conservatives offered a simple solution: stop hidden Liberal taxes on food. Instead, the Liberals voted to keep punishing Canadians, refusing to scrap the fuel taxes on fertilizer and farm equipment that drive up costs and inflation. Mr. Speaker, we can't afford more Liberal failures. Conservatives will continue fighting to deliver an affordable budget so Canadians can have an affordable life.
The honourable member for Ottawa Vanier Gloucester. Mr.
So while the statements are going on here, I just checked out the Sam Firu tariff timeline. And my God, October was truly a disaster. Like an utter fucking failure on so many levels. The U.S. planned to implement 25% tariff on, or 25% duty on medium and heavy duty trucks. So that's just a duty, that's not a tariff. I guess maybe technically to some degree. October 14th, the U.S. increased duties, or I guess these are tariffs, yes, on softwood lumber to 45% and slapped a 25% tariff on certain furniture imports. So duties and tariffs, two completely different things. They just keep doing it. Obviously, the big Stellantis thing, the Jeep Compass shifting production from Brampton to Illinois. Cost of living goes up. Torontonians claim the cost of living is up. I mean, everybody can confirm that. The $75 million Ronald Reagan advertisement, just the nail in the coffin, really. Trump increased the duties by 10%, and trade negotiations end. And now Mark Carney has apologized a few days ago. And it's all downhill. That was all in October alone. Like, they just continue to prove how incompetent they are and that they are out of ideas when it comes to dealing with Donald Trump. It's almost like they should just come to some sort of deal instead of, I don't know, spending $75 million on a Ronald Reagan ad, which ran for 10 days and took $7.5 million a day based on that budget there for that ad. That's just one of like the many things, right? All the jobs disappearing. This government is so stupid. They are so dumb.
Annual Poppy campaign. This powerful
And
moment.
if we head into another election and the Liberal government gets in again, my God, people clearly haven't learned their lesson. I mean, that's already the case, right? From the Trudeau era, people didn't learn from that. So here we are, right? Alan, how's it going? You finally made it on time. Yeah, here you are. Hello, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Currently doing statements by members. Just went over the Sam Firu tariff timeline for October. It's pretty bad. The past few months have been pretty bad. No secret there, though. I mean, that's the writing on the wall.
The honourable member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, new information has once again exposed the Prime Minister's company, Brookfield, as Canada's biggest tax dodger. Experts have revealed that Brookfield avoided paying more than $6.5 billion in Canadian taxes over 5 years by funneling profits through offshore tax havens in Bermuda and the...
So I heard from Canadian Capital Clips that apparently the CEO or some major higher up individual within Brookfield will be going to an ethics committee at some point. Not sure when. I will be looking into that and definitely will be covering that. I don't know if I'll live stream it, but the Brookfield CEO coming out to a committee, that's going to be huge. And conservatives are going to probably tear them apart.
personal bank account.
I can't wait for that. If that actually happens, I can't wait.
Ball, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes it rains. What we're feeling this week comes from caring so deeply about this incredible Blue Jays team. A team that finished last just a season ago and somehow gave us a magical run that no one expected. Sure, the other night hurt, but this season was special. These were players who gave everything, who understood what it means to represent an entire country. For a few weeks, they united Canadians coast to coast and reminded us why we love this game. Even in the World Series, our American League champion Jays were called lucky, underdogs against a powerhouse Dodgers team, but we knew they belonged there. They fought hard, held their own, and a couple of bad bounces made the difference. But that's baseball. It's okay to be disappointed, but years from now, we'll still be talking about this team, the one that played with heart and determination. We'll have to wait a little bit longer for that next championship, but what a ride this was. And Mr. Speaker, how can you not be romantic about baseball?
Go Jays!
questions. Questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the
Here
Opposition.
we go, question period.
There are many. So
Tomorrow will be the 10th costly Liberal budget to be tabled over a decade that has skyrocketed the cost of living for Canadians. The PM is once again asking for sacrifices for Canadians who are paying too much. For the Conservatives, it's simple. If the budget brings down the cost of living, we'll vote for it. But if the budget just further increases the cost of living, we're going to vote against it. Instead of causing a costly election for a costly budget, why not table an affordable budget for an affordable life? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, obviously we're listening to the members of the opposition, and good news, Mr. Speaker. I think I've just learned that the opposition leader will order all of his colleagues to vote for the budget because, yes, it will be an affordable budget, and yes, it will build Canada, and yes, the budget will make Canadians very proud. So
I doubt that.
We welcome the support of the Conservative Party and the Leader of the Opposition.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, for 10 years now, the Liberals have been making the same promises. The Finance Minister was a Minister of Industry previously, and he gave us the greatest drop in investment in Canada after promising that they would promote investment. And what happened? It doubled the debt, doubled lineups at food banks, and doubled the cost of housing. So instead of forcing Canadians to make more sacrifices and triggering a costly election on a costly budget, why not table an affordable budget for an affordable life? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, it will be an affordable budget for an affordable life, and not only that, it will be one that opens the door wide to opportunities for Canadians and young Canadians across our country. People in the trades, for Canadian softwood and steel and aluminum. We are going to build this beautiful big country affordably and do something, Mr. Speaker, that will be historical by building a better Canada.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, tomorrow will be the 10th costly Liberal budget after they doubled housing costs, doubled food bank lineups, and doubled the national debt. Now they're making exactly the same costly promises. And the Prime Minister says Canadians who can't afford to eat, heat, or house themselves need to make more, quote, sacrifices. The choice for us is simple. If a budget brings down the cost of living, we'll support it. If it brings up the cost of living, just like every other Liberal budget, we will vote no. So instead of trying to provoke a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
Carney doesn't even show up to defend his own budget.
Well, Mr. Speaker, you know, obviously we've listened attentively to what the opposition have to say, and I think I just heard good news. The Leader of the Opposition saying that he's going to order his troops and himself, and they'll walk in here and support this great, affordable, Liberal budget that's coming down tomorrow, a budget that brings down taxes for Canadians, a budget that brings down taxes and GST for first-time homebuyers, a budget that makes life more affordable and creates opportunities for young people all over this country, a generational budget, and a budget that I know will be glad to have the support of the Leader of the Opposition.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, they've been making those promises for the last 9 Liberal budgets, which doubled housing costs and drove 2.2 million people to the food bank because of higher grocery prices. So if he wants to take ideas for an affordable budget, an affordable life, here's one. There's the Liberal industrial carbon tax, which applies to the steel, cement, and other inputs to build homes. And it applies to the farmers and their fertilizer and equipment. So will the Prime Minister, instead of provoking an unnecessary election, get rid of the industrial carbon tax so we can bring down food and housing costs?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it was going so well up till now. We still have hope, though, that this leader of the opposition won't want to send Canadians, including our great farmers, to the polls over the Christmas season. The leader continues to bring up these imaginary taxes. We'd be happy to explain to him once again that farmers in this country are mostly exempt from any of those industrial carbon taxes, Mr. Speaker. The budget will be affordable. The budget will be great. The budget will build this country and build opportunities for farmers, for young people, and all Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he's got to get his story straight. First, he started his answer by saying there is no industrial carbon tax, and then he finished it by saying the industrial carbon tax is great and doesn't cost anybody any money. He's got to decide which it is. Here's how it works for a Prime Minister who doesn't understand that Canadians need steel. The industrial carbon tax on steel, cement, plastic, and other inputs raises the cost of building homes. The tax on farm equipment and fertilizer raises the cost of food. So if they want an affordable budget for an affordable life, why not scrap this industrial carbon tax on food and homes?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, earlier this year, Canadians elected a new government with a strong mandate to build the strongest economy in G7. Tomorrow, we will table a generational budget, Mr. Speaker. We will invest less in government operations so we can invest more in Canada. We will build Canada. We will invest in Canadians. We will invest across this country from coast to coast to coast and build the strongest economy in the G7. It's time for the leader and his party to stop the rhetoric. Join us. Support this budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
That member has been in this Liberal government for 10 years, and he says that he's new, making the same promises that deficits will result in investment. Well, the last time the current finance minister promised that, what we saw is that investment dropped more than at any time in Canadian history, more than any other G7 country. But you know what went up? The cost of housing doubled. Food went up, doubling the number of people in food bank lineups, and they doubled the national debt. So, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life by getting rid of the industrial carbon tax on food and homes for a change?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, you can't make this up. That member's been in this House for 20 years. He's sat in opposition now for 10 years and has not supported one affordability measure this government has put forward. Mr. Speaker, we have cut taxes
Because your
for
government
22
isn't
million
affordable.
Canadians. We have cut the tax for first-time home buyers. We are moving forward, Mr. Speaker, for automatic federal benefits, getting benefits to 5.5 million Canadians. They do nothing but vote against affordability measures. He's been in this House for 20 years. He has produced nothing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Saint Jean. Mr. Speaker, we're 24 hours away from the budget, and the government still hasn't moved beyond threatening to call an election. And frankly, the public is not impressed. It voted for a minority government, and a minority government works with other parties to get its budget passed. The government has 3 potential supporters to choose from. So it's ridiculous that with only 24 hours to go before the budget, the Liberals still aren't negotiating and they're content to threaten an election at Christmas. Will they finally respect the will of the people and get to work? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, I think that the member wouldn't mind if I congratulate all of the candidates for the municipal elections in Quebec and the winners that were on the platforms yesterday. In terms of our talks, the member knows full well that we've had wonderful discussions with her leader, with her and other members of her team. We're listening, and we have listened, as well as the 44 Quebec members from the Liberal Party, and we're listening to the opposition, including the Bloc, and I hope that everyone will see their aspirations reflected in the budget. The Honourable Member for Saint Jean. Mr. Speaker, they're listening, but they're not hearing. People don't want an election, but what they did want was a minority government, and if they had wanted the Liberals to behave like monarchs, they would have given them both hands on the wheel. But for 3 consecutive elections, voters have been telling them, work with the opposition and negotiate. 2019, 2021, 2025, same result. And here they are again, threatening elections instead of working. After 3 elections and just 24 hours before the budget, isn't it time for the Liberals to get the message? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the government was elected 6 months ago, and 6 months to come up with a budget plan to build Quebec and create opportunities for Quebecers and Canadians across the country from one coast to another. Well, there will be projects in this budget tomorrow, an investment that will be there. It will create opportunities for young people and people from Quebec and elsewhere. And I think Bloc members, just like all the other members in this House, will see their aspirations and hopes for Canada reflected in a document that will build Canada. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagoacton. Mr. Speaker, the conflict with Washington is far from over. The Liberals have even gone so far as to apologize on our knees when we are the ones suffering from tariffs. And since this won't end anytime soon, why is the priority in the budget tomorrow will not be to support Canadians? We've made 6 requests related to the needs of Quebecers: money for health, fair pensions for seniors, transfers for housing and infrastructure, loans for home ownership, and 814 million refunds to Quebecers. Tomorrow the Liberals have a choice. Will they respond to the needs of Quebecers? The Honourable Minister of Industry. The answer is simple. I could just say yes and sit down. But since my colleague also referred to the fact that we still are having discussions with the government, yes, we are at the negotiating table in the U.S. and we expect the Americans to meet with us. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to the support sectors, including forestry in his sector, the automotive sector. We know that steel and aluminum and software lumber as well. So we'll be there for workers with a consequential budget. Thank you.
I agree, Alan. She should have just said yes and sat down.
I'm confirming what Canadians already know. 10 years of Liberal economics have driven this country to the brink. In the GTA, 85% say now it's too expensive to live and work in their own communities. And they're right. The Liberals doubled the debt, they maxed out the national credit card, and they handed Canadians a bill through inflation and crushing taxes. Their carbon tax, their fuel standard, the plastic ban make it more expensive to grow, move, and buy food. Will they finally admit their policies punish the very people they're trying to help and use tomorrow's budget to scrap these hidden food taxes once and for all?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
Our new government will deliver its first budget tomorrow focused on making generational investments to unlock jobs and opportunities, to boost productivity and growth, to build housing, infrastructure and defense, to attract $500 billion in new private investment, to double trade with non-U.S. countries and to move from reliance to resilience. We're making responsible investments while reducing operational spending. This is how we build the strongest economy in the G7. Tomorrow's budget will empower Canadians because this is your country and we decide what comes next.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
The minister talks like the government's money belongs to him, and every dollar they spend comes right out of the pockets of Canadians. And to the 85% in the GTA who say they can't afford life, they call these taxes imaginary. They aren't imaginary when you're staring at your own credit card bill. The government's job is to listen to Canadians, not lecture them or gaslight them or threaten an election to distract them from the failures. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life here?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
An affordable budget for an affordable life is exactly what we'll deliver tomorrow on Budget Day. Conservatives have referenced
lies.
The need to address productivity and GDP per capita for years. Well, good news. The head of the IMF has said diversifying trade and investing in infrastructure, housing, and defense will, in fact, boost productivity. And the Bank of Canada governor has said that this is the only way to make life more affordable. Conservatives don't seem to want to make life more affordable now. Will they vote to support our budget or vote for a Christmas election?
The Honourable Member for Battleford's Lloydminster.
My God, it was like he didn't even know what he was saying and he had the fucking paper in front of him.
For Canadians, every dollar this Liberal government spends comes out of Canadians' pockets through higher taxes and inflation. Hidden taxes like the Liberals' industrial carbon tax, their fuel standards, and food packaging tax are all driving up the cost of groceries. The packaging tax alone will cost the food industry $5.6 billion and drive up the price of produce by 34%. Will the Prime Minister stop trying to engineer a costly election and instead scrap the food packaging tax?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, here we go again with the imaginary taxes that the party opposite makes up. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we are focused on affordability for Canadians. We are going to cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. We are cutting the GST for first-time homebuyers. We are cutting the consumer carbon tax. We are going to build houses at a scale not seen since the Second World War. We are going to have automatic federal benefits for 5.5 million Canadians. Will the party opposite stop with the rhetoric? It's time for all of us in this House to come together, support a generation.
The Honourable Member for Battleford, Lloydminster, Meadow Lake.
Mr. Speaker, Ottawa Public Health is now reporting that 1 in 4 families are food insecure, and even baby formula is out of reach for many parents. That's the reality after 10 years of costly Liberal deficits and taxes. Food banks are overwhelmed, and Canadians are struggling to put food on the table. Instead of cutting costs, the Liberals keep raising food prices with their hidden taxes. So, Mr. Speaker, I'll ask again, will the Prime Minister stop trying to engineer a costly election and finally scrap the food packaging tax?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, we find members opposite worried about imaginary taxes, when on this side of the House we are focused on solutions. The budget will make permanent the National School Food Program, which represents $800 in savings for families each year. This is one of the many investments that we are making on this side of the House to ensure kids have the best start in life and that families can get ahead. We hope you'll join us and support the budget. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar this government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians through higher taxes and inflation. That's right. They're taxing food at every stage, from farm to fork, with their industrial carbon tax, their fuel regulations, and their plastics ban. The Liberals' fuel regulations alone will raise the cost of gas and diesel by up to 17 cents a litre and cost the economy $9 billion. Newfoundland and Labrador families are already feeling it, saying getting ahead feels impossible. Will the Prime Minister stop trying to engineer a costly election on a costly budget and instead scrap the fuel tax?
Something spooky is always going on in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, it's time that we really set the record straight. We have the members from the opposite party getting up time and time again and talking about taxes that simply do not exist. Let's be very clear. There is no plastics wrapping tax. It doesn't exist, and they should actually be honest with their citizens and their voters that it doesn't exist.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, while the Liberals make excuses, food bank use in Canada has exploded. That's right. The new Hunger Count report shows over 2.2 million monthly visits, a 5% increase from last year, double since 2019. 1 in 5 food bank clients have jobs, but they still can't afford to feed their families. In Newfoundland and Labrador, local food banks are overwhelmed. Families are lining up earlier, leaving with less because the shelves are bare. Once again, Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister stop trying to engineer a costly election on a costly budget and instead scrap the fuel tax?
Good job. The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
To say to the colleague from Newfoundland and Labrador in the opposition, there is no fuel tax. It's imaginary taxes on food. What I want to say clearly is the measures that we have in place, $10 a day childcare in our province, is allowing moms moms to stay in the workforce, dads in the workforce. I was in my riding this weekend and spoke about the importance of the new program in the budget about training workers, construction and healthcare, getting our young people to work. This is affordability.
The honourable member for...
In order to get memberships on this channel, I believe I need to hit 500 subscribers. So, slowly but surely, building our way up. This channel was at like 5 or 6 subs last week, so...
Out of the pockets
we'll get there one
Canadians.
day.
And they also add to things with their ideological hidden taxes on food. The industrial carbon tax, the plastics tax, and the clean fuel regulations. Can the Prime Minister stop trying to provoke a costly election with a costly budget and once and for all eliminate these ideological food taxes? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Mr. Speaker, what I call ideology is when they develop these new imaginary taxes to try to spread falsehoods in the population. My colleague knows there's no grocery tax, but what is clear is that the government is working on affordability, and that's why we're here to protect the social safety net in Canada. What does that mean? Daycare. It means support for pharmacare and healthcare. And what is clear, and that's what my colleagues on the other side don't do, we are going to build Canada because in terms of affordability, people want jobs, and we're going to provide jobs. The honourable member for Joliette. Mr. Speaker, it's not just his new shoes that the Minister of Finance has made themselves. He also manufactured the entire election crisis on the eve of the budget. His government held no consultations. No witnesses were heard at committee. He responded to none of the opposition's requests, and there still have not been any negotiations between the parties. And all he's done 24 hours before the budget is to threaten an election. Instead of buying new shoes today or making new shoes, why isn't the minister working on making a deal to get his budget passed? The Honourable Minister, I think it's important to correct what my honourable colleague has just said. There's more than 28,000 people who participated in these pre-budgetary consultations. We've had many conversations with the opposition, including the Bloc, and I had conversations with myself and many of my colleagues, as did the Minister of Finance. We involved all the parties in this House, and there'll be important investments in many sectors. And the question is, what will the Bloc do? Will they vote to support Quebecers and all Canadians, or will they vote against this budget? Thank you. The honourable member for Joliette. Mr. Speaker, it's like the grasshopper and the ant. The Liberals sang all summer long, and with only 24 hours to go before the budget, they find themselves caught off guard. So they threaten elections, they want to play with the numbers and make partisan attacks. Yet, Mr. Speaker, they know that the Bloc would ask for money for health care. That's our #1 priority for Quebecers. And they knew we'd ask for an increase in seniors' pensions. We've been asking for it for 4 years. The Liberals have known all our demands for ages. So with only 24 hours to go before the budget, will they support us, yes or no? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, tomorrow's budget will see major investment in infrastructure, major investment in technology to create jobs across our country, including in Quebec and in all regions of Quebec. The question is to know whether the Bloc, what they will do. Will they support Quebec? Will they work with us during these tough times, or will they choose to send us to an election? That's my question for the Bloc, Mr. Speaker.
It's your party that's going to send us to an election, Guibault.
Hard-working Canadians through higher taxes and inflation. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister is forcing young Canadians to sacrifice more so he can spend more. A costly budget leads to a costly life for Canadians. Liberals promised a $42 billion deficit. If the Prime Minister really is spending less, the deficit will be lower. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Minister for Emergency Management and Community Resilience.
Mr. Speaker, as a fellow Albertan, I know families want more than just to get by. They want good jobs, stable incomes, and a fair shot at building a better life. That's exactly what we're focused on. Last year, the Prairies Development Agency helped create more than 9,000 jobs in Alberta. Budget 2025 keeps that momentum going. Conservatives can support it and help grow Alberta's economy, or keep voting against the opportunities that Albertans and Canadians deserve.
Shame on Canada. The honourable member for Calgary East.
I can promise you Albertans would not be happy with that answer, because 9 costly inflationary Liberal budgets gave Canadians double deficit, double debt, double food bank usage, double rents, double mortgages, and double inflation. What Canadians don't want is this Prime Minister to double down on the same failed policies that sent 2.2 million Canadians into a food bank every single month. So instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
Yeah!
The honourable minister.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Conservatives keep
Does she get lost?
talking about affordability. But when it comes to vote, they oppose the very measures that create jobs and strengthen local economies. We're delivering real results, thousands of new jobs, real investments in prairie communities, and stronger paychecks for Alberta families. If Conservatives actually care about helping families make ends meet, they should support Budget 2025 and the jobs it will create for Albertans and all Canadians.
The honourable member for Edmonton West.
Speaker, every dollar this government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians at higher taxes and higher inflation. The Prime Minister is giving billions to Liberal connector insiders with consultants, and yet at the same time is telling young Canadians they have to sacrifice more. He's promised to cap spending at a 2% increase, but he's actually growing it by 8%. And who is paying for this inflationary spending? It's the 2 million Canadians lining up at food banks every month. So instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not deliver an affordable budget for an affordable life?
Here, here. The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Make a real difference in fighting food insecurity, Mr. Speaker. Seniors being able to access the benefits that they're entitled to. That's why we're going to make it easier for 1 million lower-income Canadians to access the benefits that they've worked so hard for with automatic tax filing. We're going to make sure that Canadians, especially older Canadians, keep their hard-earned money with the first national anti-fraud strategy. And what does Alma from Marathon, Ontario say about the strategy? Great news, yet again, by our amazing government. Thanks for always taking care of things that matter to Canadians. And we, Mr. Speaker, will continue to protect and empower Canadians like Alma.
The honourable member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, after a delay of more than a year, the Liberal government will finally table its budget tomorrow. Since this Prime Minister took office, the Liberals have doubled the deficit, and $48 billion worth of investments have gone up in smoke. My question is simple to the Prime Minister. Will his budget propose concrete measures to eliminate indirect taxes on basic food products? And also, does he know that instead of calling an expensive, a costly election, he should table an affordable budget for an affordable life? The Honourable Minister, while the Conservatives spend QP after QP talking about taxes, we are laser focused on programs that will have a concrete effect on Canadians' lives. There's the school food program, for example.
Oh, it's going to have an effect, all right. Not a positive one.
For all this is having a major impact on the
Oh, it'll be a major impact, that's for sure.
In the most underprivileged neighborhoods. And let them keep talking about imaginary taxes while we continue to build a strong economy. The honourable member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the C.D. Howe report, this is not imaginary taxes. The C.D. Howe gave the Liberal Party an F for its fiscal management. Even more embarrassing is the fact that this Prime Minister had promised Canadians he would keep the deficit under $42 billion. And now we see it's going to more than double. So given his finance experience, does the Prime Minister recognize the urgency of stopping his inflationary spending and to have an affordable budget? The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm looking forward to having my colleague listen to the budget tomorrow. It will include generational investments to build a stronger economy so that we can have social programs that support Canadians so that we can afford that. That's the big difference between us and the Conservatives. All they want to do, they wouldn't have the Canada Child benefit, they wouldn't have school food they wouldn't have dental care and so on. Here, we believe in the economy and we want to build the economy so that we can help Canadians all across the country.
Don Valley East.
Mr. Speaker, I am proud to represent a riding with a vibrant Filipino-Canadian community who have contributed so much to Canada. Across the board, Canadians overwhelmingly support our government's work to help businesses grow and reach new customers around the world. That's why the Prime Minister and his government's efforts to be out there expanding trade ties are so important for building a strong, secure economy for the future. Could the Minister of International Trade please share how our government is strengthening Canada's foothold in the Indo-Pacific and what's at stake ahead of tomorrow's budget?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Through you, I'd like to thank my colleague for her important work on the Filipino Heritage Month. Mr. Speaker, last week I joined the Prime Minister in the Indo-Pacific, one of the fastest growing regions in the world, to expand trade and investment opportunities for Canadians. We announced the launch of a Filipino, a Thailand free trade agreement, and led forward on the Canada-ASEAN FTA. Mr. Speaker, the numbers typically show that within 6 years of signing an FTA, trade doubles. That means more opportunities for Canadian workers here in Canada. This new government is laser focused on opening new markets, creating opportunities across the country, and expanding trade by double for non-U.S. exports. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Brantford.
Get out of here, Trudeau-era MP.
Mr. Speaker, on Friday, the Supreme Court struck down mandatory jail time for predators convicted of possessing child sexual abuse material. That decision is disgusting. These offenders weren't caught with a few files. They had hundreds of images and videos of children as young as 3 being tortured and abused. Yet instead of standing up for victims, this Liberal government stays silent. Why is this Prime Minister more interested in protecting pedophiles than protecting Canada's children from monsters? Shame!
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, plain and simple, child abusers should face the toughest penalties under Canadian law. Child abusers are amongst the most reprehensible in our society, Mr. Speaker. That's why we've introduced sweeping reforms through Bill C-14 that make bail stricter and sentences tougher, and that make child sexual offenders serve time behind bars, Mr. Speaker. But let's not forget C-63. A Liberal government introduced that bill to protect kids online, but the Conservatives refused to support it. And a few months ago, we brought...
I wouldn't be pontificating.
The Honourable Member for Brantford, Brant South, Six Nations.
With these Liberals, why do charter rights of pedophiles come before charter rights of children? Shamefully, every single member of this party, including the Minister of Justice, remains silent. Crickets. This ruling means pedophiles, with hundreds of videos of children being sexually assaulted, can escape mandatory jail. You can't claim to stand for victims while you defend a system that shields the predators. Why won't this Prime Minister call the ruling what it is? Disgusting, and commit to restoring mandatory jail time for pedophiles.
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, we are not silent on this issue. That is why we've introduced sweeping reforms under Bill C-14 to make bail stricter and sentences tougher, and we are making sure that child sexual offenders serve time behind bars, Mr. Speaker. But let's not forget the conduct of the Conservatives, Mr. Speaker. They refused to support C-63, which would help protect our children against online crime, online predators. And a few months ago, they refused to support lawful access, which will help police catch pedophiles, Mr. Speaker.
please. Order. Order. Alors.
Not one minister said a word.
Okay. Okay. We have to move on to the honourable minister, l'honorable.
The honourable member for Bellechasse-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, the Supreme Court's decision declaring mandatory minimum sentences unconstitutional leaves us speechless. A person with 317 images of children, including girls aged from 3 to 10 years old.
Bro, this is so incredibly fucked up. Like, I don't even want to comment on it beyond that. This is fucking outrageous.
Have mandatory minimum sentences. Well, frankly, Mr. Speaker, how can the Liberals protect criminals instead of children? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Justice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Crimes against children are among the most serious and hateful crimes in our society. Child abusers need to get the toughest sentences under Canadian law. In the coming weeks, the government will be taking new steps based on our election platform to crack down on these heinous crimes. This Friday, we know there will be Bill C-242, and there will be nothing about getting rid of these sentences. The honourable member for Bellechasse-les-Etchemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, the government has a heavy responsibility to protect its citizens, especially the most vulnerable among us, like kids. The government introduced Bill C-14, which could have brought back mandatory minimums and done some good. But no, that's not what they did. Criminals are going to continue to get away with it. This has just been confirmed by the Supreme Court. Why is this government more concerned with protecting pedophiles than protecting the rights of children, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Justice Minister. Mr. Speaker, each child, every child in Canada deserves to be protected from exploitation and fear. Our government will always protect children with the strictest and toughest of laws and measures to support victims. Mr. Speaker, in the weeks to come, our government will be tabling legislation to protect children. And there will also be debate this Friday on Bill C-242, which doesn't anywhere talk about mandatory sentences.
For Carlton Trail, Eagle Creek.
Every dollar the Liberal government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians in the form of higher taxes and inflation. A costly budget will lead to a costly life. While Canadians are lining up at food banks, this Liberal government is using their money to hand out bonuses. The Business Development Bank got $60 million, EDC $45 million, CMHC $30 million. Wow. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable... Please, order, member.
Goody good measures, Mr. Speaker. So I've learned in English to say, you are the problem, and in my native language of Cree, Kiogagi Patsi, and now I've learned in French, tu es le problem.
You are the problem.
Because the bottom line is...
My God, sit down, you bum. What a waste of breath.
You know, in the past, members have invoked references to language and a different contexts, and it can sometimes be a sensitive issue. So I think we should leave out references to different languages and how how some people understand one, don't understand the other. The honourable member for Carlton Trail, Eagle Creek.
Hundreds of millions of dollars in excessive bonuses to failed Liberal insiders drives up inflation, and Canadians are paying the price. 2.2 million food bank visits, 700,000 are children. Rent has doubled. The food bank in Saskatoon is moving locations to keep up with the rising demand as it's, and I quote, bursting at the seams. Canadians can't afford homes, they can't afford food. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Rural Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For 10 long years, we send 14 Conservative MPs to Ottawa. That's 140 years.
We're going to have to start from the top on that. I mean, there was nothing provocative in the Secretary of State's answer. I don't know why it was generating so much reaction. The Honourable Secretary of State from the top, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. For 10 long years, we sent 14 Conservative MPs to Ottawa. That's 140 collective years that they have not stood up for Saskatchewan, nor voted for any positive members to help with the affordability issue across this country, Mr. Speaker. They can help today by voting for this budget. And if they want a Christmas election, Mr. Speaker, remember that Santa Claus wears red. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Leduc-Wetaskiwin.
Let's remember that Santa Claus isn't spending taxpayer dollars, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, every single dollar the Liberal government brags about spending comes from the pockets of hardworking Canadians in the form of higher taxes and inflation. While Canadians line up at food banks in record numbers, their own money is being used by this Liberal government to hand out hundreds of millions of dollars in executive bonuses. Point in case, last year, 100% of Via Rail executives got bonuses averaging $110,000. Wow. This is incomprehensible and irresponsible. Instead of trying to provoke a costly election with another costly Liberal budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life for all Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, what Canadians expect of us is to invest in them, to invest in their families, to invest in the futures of their children, and that's exactly what this budget will do, Mr. Speaker. It will make sure that not only are we creating the jobs of today, but we're creating the jobs of tomorrow, and we're ensuring that young people have the skills to get those jobs in partnership with unions, with the Canadian building trades, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that everybody has a fair chance. That's what Canadians expect, and that's why they trust us, Mr. Speaker.
You know, I will say one thing. I am glad Freeland is gone.
That Canada had the richest middle class in the world. Just a decade later, our country is in an economic tailspin. Do you know what happened in 2015, Mr. Speaker? This Liberal government took power, and many of their current ministers, including the finance minister, were elected. And here's where we are today. During an epic housing crisis, 99% of CMHC executives got bonuses, averaging $43,000. How is that okay? How is it that Canada, under their watch, went from the richest middle class in the world to a country where many middle-class Canadians can't afford housing?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, do you know what else happened since 2015? 400,000 children have been lifted out of poverty through the Canada Child Benefit. 22 million Canadians this year will receive a tax credit. Mr. Speaker, we are working with Canadians on the things that they have told us are a priority. That's why Canadians trust this Liberal government. That's why they deeply distrust the Conservative Party of Canada.
Member for Saskatoon West.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar the Liberal government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians in the form of higher taxes and inflation. At CMHC, executives each receive bonuses of $43,000. Even more ridiculous, Via Rail executives got $110,000 each. While the Liberals reward insiders, they're asking young Canadians to sacrifice more, driving many of them to food banks. In Saskatoon, food bank usage is up 49% over pre-COVID levels, with children accounting for 38% of those users. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, Why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Minister for the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, it's just so tiring to hear from the members opposite how they are against everything, including anything that includes fighting climate change. But you know what they should be for, and that I hope that they will support when they're looking at our budget? They should be looking at a national school food program that helps support young people when they're in schools. They should be there to help support Canadians. That is what we do.
Oh yeah, does that also fight climate change?
Everything. Let's hear something positive. Let's hear a positive vote on the budget.
Oh, what a joke.
The Honourable Member for Dorval, Lachine, Lassalle. Mr. Speaker, Canada recently hosted our G7 partners in Toronto to advance the G7 Critical Minerals Alliance, international energy security, and the protection of our shared environment. Can the Minister explain how the Canada-led alliance will help stabilize prices for key minerals, protect us from coercive supply disruptions, and result in good jobs and cleaner, more affordable, and climate-competitive energy technologies for Canadians and Quebecers? Thank you very much. The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change. Thank you, and I thank you for the question. It was an honor for me and for the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources to host the G7 Energy and Environment Ministers meeting in Toronto. We discussed important things like secure supply, the circular economy, and critical minerals. Canada also secured 25 new investments, including several in Quebec, with 9 allied countries, to unlock $6.4 billion worth of critical minerals projects. And we agreed also on price stabilization tools.
Member for Halliburton, Kawartha Lakes.
For 10 years, the Liberals have promised that their massive deficits will lead to more jobs and investment in Canada. It hasn't. Tomorrow, we will see another budget packed with more inflationary spending. The result, Holseg Canada announced the closure of their Lindsay plant, putting 130 people out of work. After 10 years of this Liberal government, manufacturers are closing, costs are soaring, and investment is fleeing. And just the other week, the Prime Minister told Canadians that they need to be prepared to make sacrifices. For those families dealing with job loss, high grocery prices, and a housing market out of reach, what other sacrifices should Canadians be prepared to make?
Mr. Speaker, this budget will be about protecting jobs, making sure that we protect our communities. This budget will be about building Canada and creating new jobs across the country like we've never seen before. And this budget will be about empowering Canadians, making sure that they have trust and confidence in their future and in the prosperity of this country. And that's why the Conservatives should vote for it.
The Honourable Member for Halliburton, Kawartha Lakes.
Speaker, we have 130 people out of work in Lindsay, Ontario. That, combined with the latest hunger count report, shows Canadians are struggling like never before. Food bank visits hit 2.2 million in March, nearly double pre-pandemic levels. 1/3 of clients are children. Almost 1 in 5 have a job but can't make ends meet. Yet this government continues to impose hidden taxes, including the industrial carbon tax on fertilizer and farm equipment, which drives food prices even higher. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not table an affordable budget for an affordable life?
Honorable Ministre.
Mr. Speaker, we know there are trade tensions right
What
now.
was
We
that
know that
face?
some tariff industries are particularly affected, and it will be my pleasure to work with my
She looked
colleague
like she
to
ate
make
something
sure that we're
sour.
able to bring support to his community, particularly OSAG and OSAG workers. That being said, this budget will be doing just that, making sure that we protect jobs, making sure that we build the country, and making sure also that we empower Canadians. Looking forward to his support.
The Honourable Member for York Durham.
Every dollar that this Liberal government spends comes out of the pockets of hard-working Canadians in the form of higher taxes and higher inflation. Take the hidden fuel standards tax, which will raise the price of gasoline by 17 cents a litre and diesel by 16 cents a litre. A tax on the trucker that delivers the food is a tax on the mum or the dad buying that food in the grocery store aisle. It's a tax on young Canadians. It's one more sacrifice that this Prime Minister is asking the next generation to make. Instead of a costly budget and a costly election, why not eliminate the fuel standards tax and bring forward an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment.
Mr. Speaker, it is so tiring to hear about these imaginary taxes. Let's focus on reality. In reality, this budget that we'll be presenting tomorrow is going to be providing positive support for Canadians that they're looking for. They want us to build Canada. They want us to build it well. We want to talk about a cost to future generations. It's hearing from the opposite side about how they will do nothing to fight climate change. We are going to keep on standing up for Canada. We're going to keep on building Canada. We're going to build it well.
The Honourable Member for Hull Aylmer.
Mr. Speaker, last
it's
week,
Greg
Canadians
Fungus.
watched with horror as Hurricane Melissa, which was the strongest hurricane in the Caribbean's history, tore through the region, leaving widespread destruction in its wake. Hundreds of thousands of people were affected, lives were lost, homes and infrastructure were damaged and destroyed. Families were affected by the flooding and landslides. As the people of Jamaica, Cuba, and Haiti across the region begin the difficult work of reconstruction and recovery, can the Secretary of State for International Development talk about what Canada is doing?
The Honourable Secretary of State for International Development.
Hurricane Melissa has left heartbreaking devastation in its wake, and we stand with the people of the Caribbean in this moment of crisis. Last week, we announced $7 million in emergency relief, allowing partners to scale up the delivery of food, water, health services, and other essential aid. This builds on long-standing work to strengthen disaster preparedness in the Caribbean and support for the United Nations Emergency Response Fund, which released an additional $8 million in assistance. And this weekend, a Canadian team was on the ground with the Caribbean and assessing what more Canada can do. Thank you.
So people are lined up at food banks here in the millions now, starving, can't afford anything. 7 million over there.
Whatever he can to keep affordable food on our tables. But thanks to the Liberals' new front of packaging labeling rules, regulations that have nothing to do with food safety, he's now facing a $2.2 million compliance bill. Across the industry, the cost will top $100 million and prices are going to rise and contracts are being canceled, all because of red tape politics. So the Prime Minister, will he stop trying to engineer a costly election on a costly budget and instead scrap the costly labeling tax?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, imaginary tax after imaginary tax after imaginary tax. But when the Conservatives had the chance to stand up for families...
Well, you guys send millions of dollars to imaginary causes, so fuck, I mean...
Whether it's to vote in the skilled trades training that provides those great paying jobs, I sure hope they're not going to vote against personal support workers' tax credits, but that's what it's looking like, Mr. Speaker. They're lining up to vote against what the things that Canadians need. They're driving for a Christmas election. It's so obvious. Mr. Speaker, when are they going to stand with Canadians?
The Honourable Member for Vancouver East.
The NDP secured $4.3 billion in funding to address urgent unmet housing needs for Indigenous, Inuit and Métis peoples living away from their home community. And NICHI, a national Indigenous-led organization, helped deliver that interim funding without a hitch. Many shovel-ready projects are desperate for the $4 billion long-term funding to flow, and with winter fast approaching, another construction season will be missed. Will the Prime Minister just let Indigenous Services task NICHI to get the funding out the door, or are they going to re-announce the $4 billion and pretend it's new funding in Budget 2025?
Good.
With the winter fast approaching, send $10 million to Zimbabwe and send another $50 million to Brazil.
Discrimination have created a serious shortage of safe, affordable housing and supports for Indigenous peoples across Canada. Build Canada Homes will help address this by financing affordable housing at scale across the housing continuum, in collaboration with provinces, territories, and Indigenous partners. It offers flexible incentives to support non-market and Indigenous housing providers to build the affordable housing people need. Build Canada Homes is actively engaged with Indigenous governments, provinces, territories, and builders to identify early...
That concludes question period.
All right. Question period's over, as you just heard.
proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division.
We have a
bill
vote.
at report stage.
We have a motion.
For C3, calling the members.
I hope this motion specifically is for giving Brazil $1 trillion. We need to invest $1 trillion in Brazil over the next 4 years. Only Brazil, though. Nowhere else. Like, it's the most important country. It's one of our strongest allies, actually. $1 trillion to Brazil. Please and thank you right now. All right, guys, we have a vote for, what was it, Bill C-1413? I believe this is a bail reform crime bill. Not entirely sure, as they aren't showing. We'll find out eventually, though. Alright, the House is muted. Currently waiting for whatever to go on here. The motion, obviously, but...
The question is on motion number 2. A vote on this motion also applies to motions number 3, 4, 6, 2, 11.
Ms. Kwan, seconded by Ms. Gazan, moved that... May I dispense? I heard a no. Yes? No, I heard a no. It won't take that long. Ms. Kwan, seconded by Ms. Gazan, moved that Bill C-3 in Clause 1 be amended, A, by replacing lines 36 and 37 on page 3 with the following. 1,095 days before the person's birth, or B, by replacing lines 28 and 29 on page 4 with the following. 1,095 days before the person's birth. The 10-minute period for members voting electronically has started, and the House will now proceed to the vote for members participating in person.
Okay, so this is not the Bail Reform Act at all. I thought that's what was happening today, as they discussed it earlier in the House, but this is something to do with citizenship, I guess. Okay.
Ms. Thompson.
Mr. Ananda Sangari.
Mr. Ananda Sangari.
Ms. Haidu.
Ms. Haidu.
Madame Michel.
Madame Michel.
Monsieur Guilbeault.
Monsieur Guilbeault.
Ms. Ochowski.
Ms. Ochowski.
Mrs. Valdez.
Mrs. Valdez.
Ms. Gould.
Ms. Gould.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Mr. Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Ms. Chager.
Ms. Chager.
Mr. Osborne.
Mr. Osborne.
Mr. Fragascados.
Mr. Fragascados.
Mr. Fuhr.
Mr. Fuhr.
Mr. Vancouverden.
Mr. Vancouverden.
Ms. Sahota.
Ms. Sahota.
Mr. Belanger, Desnete, Mississippi, Churchill River.
Mr. Belanger, Desnete, Mississippi, Churchill River.
Ms. McKnight.
Ms. McKnight.
Ms. Chartrand.
Ms. Chartrand.
Mr. Gerritsen.
Mr. Gerritsen.
Ms. Salty.
Ms. Alty.
Mrs. Galmasti.
Mrs. Galmasti.
Mr. Sarai.
Mr. Sarai.
Ms. McLean, Esquimalt, Saanich Suk.
Ms. McLean, Esquimalt, Saanich Suk.
Mr. Long.
Mr. Long.
Madame Chanette.
Madame Chanette.
Ms. Latanzio.
Ms. Latanzio.
Mr. Nagvi.
Mr. Nakvi.
Madame Ménard.
Madame Ménard.
Monsieur Miller.
Monsieur Miller.
Ms. Jazek.
Ms. Jazek.
Mr. Beach.
Mr. Beach.
Ms. Groh.
Ms. Groh.
Mr. Dogood.
Mr. Dogood.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Dollywall.
Mr. Dollywall.
Madame Châtel.
Madame Châtel.
Mrs. Romanato.
Mrs. Romanato.
Mr. Louis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Louis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Monsieur Leitao.
Mr. Leitao.
Mr. Bardisi.
Mr. Bardisi.
Madame Kayabaga.
Madame Kayabaga.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Madame Brière.
Madame Brière.
Mr. Kellaway.
Mr. Kellaway.
Monsieur Gay.
Monsieur Gay.
Monsieur Ramsey.
Monsieur Ramsey.
Miss Chi.
Miss Chi.
Mr. Miles.
Mr. Miles.
Mr. Biddle.
Mr. Biddle.
Monsieur Cormier.
Monsieur Cormier.
Miss Dillon.
Miss Dillon.
Miss Zerwix.
Miss Zerwitz.
Monsieur El Khoury.
Monsieur Khoury.
Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Fonseca.
Mr. Fonseca.
Monsieur Lauzon.
Monsieur Lauzon.
Miss Church. Correction, Miss Suds.
Miss Suds.
Madame Desrochers.
Madame Desrochers.
Mrs. McKelvey.
Mrs. McKelvey.
Mr. Hanley.
Mr. Hanley.
Madame Rochefort.
Madame Rochefort.
Mr. Casey.
Mr. Casey.
Mr. Blois.
Mr. Blois.
Madame Bendayan.
Madame Bendayan.
Madame Fortier.
Madame Fortier.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mr. Elephant.
Mr. Baptiste.
Mr. Baptiste.
Mr. Claassen.
Mr. Claassen.
Madame Levac.
Madame Levac.
Mr. Turnbull.
Mr. Turnbull.
Miss Church.
Miss Church.
Mr. McKinnon, Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam.
Mr. McKinnon, Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam.
Mr. Morrissey.
Mr. Morrissey.
Ms. Vandenbeld.
Miss Vandenbeld.
Mrs. Zaid.
Mrs. Zaid.
Ms. Yip.
Miss Yip.
Mr. Ailson.
Mr. Ailson.
Madame Lapointe, Rivière-des-Mille-Îles.
Madame Lapointe, Rivière-des-Mille-Îles.
Mr. Baines.
Mr. Baines.
Mr. Coteau.
Mr. Coteau.
Miss Hefner.
Miss Hefner.
Madame Lapointe, Sudbury.
Madame Lapointe, Sudbury.
Mr. Sousa.
Mr. Sousa.
Miss Akan.
Ms. Akan.
Mr. Al-Soud.
Mr. Al Saoud.
Madame Auguste.
Madame Auguste.
Mr. Chang.
Mr. Chang.
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Connors.
Mr. Connors.
Madame Dandurand.
Madame Dandurand.
Mr. Danko.
Mr. Danko.
Monsieur Deschênes-Thériault.
Mr. Deschênes-Thériault.
Mr. Earl.
Mr. Earl.
Miss Fancy.
Miss Fancy.
Mr. Fanjoy.
Mr. Fanjoy.
Miss Harrison.
Miss Harrison.
Miss Hurdle.
Miss Hurdle.
Monsieur Joseph.
Monsieur Joseph.
Monsieur Lavoie.
Monsieur Lavoie.
Mr. McDonald Cardigan.
Mr. McDonald Cardigan.
Mr. Mallet, Bay of Quinte.
Mr. Mallet, Bay of Quinte.
Miss Miedema.
Miss Miedema.
Madame Mingarelli.
Madame Mingarelli.
Miss Nathan.
Miss Nathan.
Miss Nguyen.
Miss Nguyen.
Monsieur Ntumba.
Monsieur Tumba.
Madame Miss O'Rourke.
Miss O'Rourke.
Mr. Rana.
Mr. Rana.
Miss Royer.
Miss Roy.
Mr. Saini.
Mr. Saini.
Mr. Sari.
Mr. Sari.
Mr. Sawatsky.
Mr. Sawatsky.
Miss Sodi.
Miss Sodi.
Mr. Saint-Pierre.
Mr. St. Pierre.
Miss Tesser Dirksen.
Miss Tesser Dirksen.
Mr. Villeneuve.
Mr. Villeneuve.
Mr. Watchorn.
Monsieur Watchhorn.
Miss Gazan.
Ms. Gazan.
Miss Kwan.
Ms. Kwan.
Mr. Johns.
Mr. Johns.
Que tous ceux qui s'opposent à la motion veuillent bien sur le...
Yeah, this is going to cheapen Canadian citizenship substantially.
Deltel.
Monsieur Deltel.
Monsieur Paulus.
Monsieur Paulus.
Miss Lanceman.
Miss Lanceman.
Miss Lewis, Alderman Norfolk.
Miss Lewis, Alderman Norfolk.
Mrs. Cousy.
Mrs. Cousy.
Mr. Barrett.
Mr. Barrett.
Mr. Albus.
Mr. Albus.
Mr. Caputo.
Mr. Caputo.
Mr. Richards.
Mr. Richards.
Mr. Small.
Mr. Small.
Mr. Major.
Mr. Major.
Mr. Brassard.
Mr. Brassard.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Bertol.
Mr. Berthold.
Mr. Workington.
Mr. Workington.
Mrs. Cramp-Nyman.
Mrs. Cramp-Nyman.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mr. Morin.
Mr. Morin.
Madame Vien.
Madame Vien.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. D'Entremont.
Monsieur D'Entremont.
Mr. Van Popta.
Mr. Van Popta.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Kelly.
Monsieur Généreux.
Monsieur Généreux.
Monsieur Gould.
Monsieur Gould.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Steinley.
Mr. Steinley.
Mr. Zimmer.
Mr. Zimmer.
Mr. Lobb.
Mr. Lobb.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Calkins.
Mr. Calkins.
Mr. Lawrence.
Mr. Lawrence.
Mr. Muse.
Mr. Muse.
Mr. Waugh.
Mr. Waugh.
Mr. Ho.
Mr. Ho.
Mrs. Falk. Battle Forest Lloydminster, Meadow Lake.
Mrs. Falk, Battleford Lloydminster, Meadow Lake.
Miss Gladu.
Miss Gladu.
Mr. Majumdar.
Mr. Majumdar.
Mr. Shipley.
Mr. Shipley.
Mr. Reddicock.
Mr. Reddicock.
Mr. Tolmie.
Mr. Tolmie.
Mr. Mallet. Kapiskasing Timmins, Mushkegwak.
Monsieur Mallet, Kapiskasing Timmins, Mushkegwak.
Monsieur Lefebvre.
Mr. Lefebvre.
Mr. Arnold.
Mr. Arnold.
Mrs. Gallant.
Mrs. Gallant.
Mr. Reed.
Mr. Reed.
Mr. Hoback.
Mr. Hoback.
Mr. Allison.
Mr. Allison.
Mr. Vierson.
Mr. Vierson.
Mr. Epp.
Mr. Epp.
Mr. Falk Provencher.
Mr. Falk Provencher.
Mr. Diot.
Mr. Diot.
Mr. Macaulay.
Mr. Macaulay.
Mrs. Wagenthal.
Mrs. Wagenthal.
Mrs. Johnson.
Mrs. Jansen.
We don't want this to pass, by the way. This is going to cheapen Canadian citizenship as a whole.
Mr. Lewis Essex.
Mr. Lewis Essex.
Mr. McLean, Calgary Centre.
Mr. McLean, Calgary Centre.
Mr. Patzer.
Mr. Patzer.
Mr. Leslie.
Mr. Leslie.
Mr. Giovanni.
Mr. Giovanni.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Mrs. Anstey.
Mrs. Anstey.
Mr. Au.
Mr. Au.
Mr. Babber.
Mr. Babber.
Mr. Bailey.
Mr. Bailey.
Mr. Bélanger, Sudbury Est, Manitoulin, Nickel Belt.
Mr. Bélanger, Sudbury Est, Manitoulin, Nickel Belt.
Mr. Bexty.
Mr. Bexty.
Mr. Bonk.
Mr. Bonk.
Mrs. Borelli.
Mrs. Borelli.
Miss Cobania.
Miss Cobania.
Mrs. Cody.
Mrs. Cody.
Mr. Davies, Niagara South.
Mr. Davies, Niagara South.
Mr. Dawson.
Mr. Dawson.
Mrs. DeRitter.
Mrs. DeRitter.
Mr. Gill, Brampton West.
Mr. Gill, Brampton West.
Mr. Gill, Calgary Skyview. Calgary McKnight, correction.
Mr. Gill, Calgary McKnight.
Mr. Gill, Windsor West.
Mr. Gill, Windsor West.
Mr. Kimmich.
Mr. Kimmich.
Mr. Nader.
Mr. Nader.
Mr. Groslo.
Mr. Groslo.
Mr. Guglimin.
Mr. Guglin.
Mr. Gunn.
Mr. Gunn.
Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Holman.
Mr. Holman.
Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Kibble.
Mr. Kibble.
Miss Kirkland.
Miss Kirkland.
Mrs. Conans.
Mrs. Conan.
Miss Cronus.
Miss Cronus.
Mr. Kirk.
Mr. Kirk.
Mr. Lawton.
Mr. Lawton.
Mr. Ma.
Mr. Ma.
Mr. Mahal.
Mr. Mahal.
Mr. Mantle.
Mr. Mantle.
Mr. McKenzie.
Mr. McKenzie.
Mr. Stevenson. Correction, Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Stevenson.
Mr. Stevenson.
Madame Normandin.
Madame Normandin.
Monsieur Thériault.
Monsieur Thériault.
Good.
Monsieur Champoux.
Monsieur Champoux.
Monsieur Perron.
Monsieur Perron.
Monsieur Bonin.
Monsieur Bonin.
Monsieur Savard-Tremblay.
Monsieur Savard-Tremblay.
Monsieur Sainte-Marie.
Monsieur Sainte-Marie.
Madame Larouche.
Madame Larouche.
Madame Gaudreau.
Madame Gaudreau.
Monsieur Beaulieu.
Monsieur Beaulieu.
Monsieur Lemire.
Monsieur Lemire.
La Chambre.
The House will now wait for the electronic voting period to end before resuming its proceedings.
Did the NDP not vote? Did they abstain? I didn't notice if they did stand or not. Basically, from what I've gathered, Bill C3. Let me just pull this up here. Bill C3, where I was just reading what it essentially would do. It would amend the Citizenship Act to extend access to citizenship to those born abroad to Canada, Canadian citizens, or those adopted abroad by Canadians born abroad being the first generation. Beyond the first generation. Essentially, what I'm gathering from this is it would allow people to pass over their citizenship to their children if they have a significant tie to Canada, or a significant enough tie to Canada, which I don't know why we're passing this. If it actually goes through, it's just going to allow more and more people to abuse a system that's already completely broken. I feel like I'm not entirely understanding what this act is supposed to do. So I recommend you go read it in your own time, but let's just hope it doesn't pass. We're currently waiting for the voting period, the electronic voting period, to end. Canadian citizens were able to pass on citizenship to their children who were born outside of Canada, but only to the first generation born abroad. As a result, under the current Citizenship Act, this first generation of Canadian citizens born outside of Canada are unable to pass on citizenship to their children who are born outside Canada. So if they're not born in Canada, then no, they're not Canadian citizens. And we're just passing it on. This, no, this seems ridiculous. If it passes, I'm not going to be too happy.
Yeas pour 170, 170. Nays contre 163, 163.
Oh, God.
I declare the motion number 2 carried.
Je déclare donc les motions.
I declare motions 3, 4, and 6 to 11 carried.
Ms. Diab, seconded by Mr. Van Couverden, moves that bills dispense? Okay. If a member participating in person wishes that the motion be carried or carried on division, yes. The Chief Government Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would ask for a recorded vote, and I believe if you seek it, you'll find consent to apply the results from the last vote to this vote, with Liberal members voting yes.
Whip, Chief Opposition Whip.
Conservatives agree to apply the vote, with Conservatives voting against.
The Honourable Bloc Québécois Whip. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I heard the member from Joliette, but the Bloc accepts to apply the vote and will vote against this.
The Honourable Member for Vancouver East.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The NDP agrees to apply the vote, and the NDP votes yes.
Hear, hear.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The NDP are buddying up with the Liberals. This isn't a shock, by the way, but It's just confirming it more and more as we head into tomorrow, which is a very big day, might I add, where the NDP are essentially going to decide whether or not an election happens. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
169, nays contre, 163, 163.
I declare the motion carried. When shall the bill be read a third time? At the next sitting of the House. Je désire informer la Chambre.
I wish to inform.
All right, that's going to do it for today's live stream. We just watched a motion be passed that cheapens Canadian citizenship even further. Woohoo. Shout out to, I guess, being Canadian, or lack of being Canadian, as we're just handing it out left, right, and center. All right, guys. That's going to do it for today's live stream. Have a great rest of your day or night, depending on where you are from. I need a time when to be here. Question period starts at 2 p.m. So I will always be live around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Roughly 20 minutes before that, or right on 2 p.m. That's usually when I go live here. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's live stream, guys. Thank you for joining. And like I said, have a great rest of your day or night. Adios, everyone.
Their own orders of the day.
We're just right here.
Dealing peanut butter.